Hey, welcome back. So a little bit different video today. This is my stepson's 2011 Jeep Wrangler 4-door. New to him. He just got his license a month and a half ago or so. So he picked himself up a pretty decent used Jeep. So, but there's something going on with it. So I wasn't with him, but yesterday he gave me a call. He was out driving. And he said all of a sudden all the lights were coming on, check engine light. I think he said the stability control or whatever the Jeep calls it. Just everything was flashing, going off. It was slowing down. It was bucking. It had no throttle, this and that. So I said, well, just stop by O'Reilly or AutoZone as soon as you can. Have them read the code. So we did that, got back to me, said it comes back as a pedal position sensor. So they had one in stock. He picked it up. I was basically getting ready to leave the barn and get ready for work. So I said, just have your dad follow you over, drop it off, and leave it in the barn. And I will get to it in the morning. So that's what I'm doing. All right, so like any repair, it's always best practice to disconnect the battery regardless. In this case, yes, we are unplugging a harness, etc. So you definitely want to do it. I always unplug a battery regardless, especially if you're working along drivetrain axles. You never know if something wants to start and start spinning. So I'm gonna pop the hood on the Jeep here and get the battery disconnected. Let's see, where's the Jeep one at? So, if you follow the channel, you know I really don't do much or work on Jeeps, so I'm going to probably fumble through a few things. It's all pretty much the same on all vehicles. So it looks like 8 or 10 millimeter on the battery here. Get that disconnected. All right, in this case, 2011, again, Jeep JKU 4-door. It's got the 3.8 V6. This is a 10 millimeter on this particular Jeep. It looks like the battery hold down is not holding down either. So I have to pull the whole battery actually and just double check that. So I'm going to take both off and inspect the hold down. All right, let's see what part they got here. I think it's a whole, I don't know if it's a sensor or, I mean, it looks like a whole pedal assembly. Yep, the whole pedal assembly. So the unit itself there's not much to it. It's basically just 2 bolts or 2 studs with nuts and then 1 wire harness. But from what I've heard, getting to, I believe, the top nut isn't super easy. So this particular part number is a standard part, standard brand AP S261. So now let's see what we got to get into on the inside to access this. All right, so driver's side, obviously, locating the pedal. You can see there's looks like a 10 millimeter nut, and then the harness, and then there must be another nut up top there. All right, so there's a little panel here underneath the steering column, which I already loosened up. Basically just pull it straight out. There's some clips, pop that out, and of course there's one missing already. But anyway, this pops out, and then now you can see the top of the harness and the other stud back here. I can see it, but hard to see on camera. So let's get this disconnected and the new one on. All right, so I verified it is or they are 10mm nuts. But actually, I'm going to disconnect this harness first. This has a push tab, and then it pulls straight out. So I like to do those first while the part or component is still in place. That way it doesn't move on you. Have a shorter extension for that part. All right, again, these are 10mm, and I'm using all 1/4-inch ratchet, 1/4-inch ratchet extensions, just to keep it lower profile. It fits right up in there. It gets loose, and then put it off by hand. A better view. Got it loose, and then I just grabbed a longer extension. Now you can just see, I can just hand spin the nut, and then it's off, and then we'll hand spin off the bottom nut. There we go, and then the unit just pulls off. So, old one's off, put the new one on. So, yeah, I mean, virtually the same. You can tell that obviously this is a factory unit by the old Daimler Chrysler logo, but the standard is identical. So, let's just pop this in, reverse what we just did. So, I'll get this thing in place, and I'll start the bottom nut and then start the top nut, and then I'll tighten them both down and then pop the connector on. It is nice that the nuts are, what do you call these? It's a nut with like a washer on it. So it will be easy to hold the nut on the socket to start it. So that's always nice. So just, hopefully I'm not blocking the camera. Let me adjust a little bit. It's not necessarily a how-to video. I'm just kind of showing you how I'm doing it. Let me get the bottom one on first here. All right. Obviously, with the bottom one on, it is fairly easy to then hold. All right, they're both finger tight. I'll just give it a little snug. It didn't take much to get them off, so. All right, those are both tight. We'll slip the connector on. Push it on until it clicks. And she's on. I know, not much to really look at, but that's the new part. But at least if you're doing this yourself, you can see that between the bottom and this, removing this panel, you got full access to it. Now, I'm not sure if this changes in the newer JKs. Again, this is an 11. So I think from 2007 to 11 or 12, they had the 3.8 V6. And then 12 to 13 and up until the JLs, they had a 3.6. So I'm not sure if this part changes but I'm sure it can't be too different. All right, so that's in there. Now we'll just pop this little panel on. So again, someone's had this off before, so it's a little bit banged up. But the bottom goes in first. Keys in. I'm sure yours will go on easier because yours probably isn't bent. And then there's little spots for the clips to go in. So, yep, we're good. Everything's in there. This clip's missing, so it's not super tight here, but it is what it is. All right, so real quick, looking at the battery, it's loose, so there's a hold down block, and the bolt is not all the way down, so I'm going to try to tighten it up, but I'm going to pull it out first and put some anti-seize on it. I'm thinking it's probably, it's stopped where it's at, maybe? I don't know, we'll see. All right, so this, in this case, again, it's a 10 millimeter, looks like a factory nut. It's coming out, it's coming out, it's just, it's a little bit tight. So I'm going to pull it all the way out, wire brush it, and then put some anti-seize on it. I don't know, maybe whoever had this before, the battery died out on the street, and they may not have had the appropriate tools to tighten it down. Maybe they just had a pair of pliers at the time. But yeah, it's a little bit rusty, so I'm going to wire brush it and anti-seize it. Safety first. All right, nice and clean. Now we'll do a little bit of anti-seize. Doesn't matter what I'm working on. If I ever have to remove hardware and it's not inside the cab or interior wise, I'm always wire brushing and anti-seizing all the hardware. And I always start everything by hand. I like to break everything loose by hand, start everything by hand. Yeah, this is going in perfectly now. No more wiggly battery. All right, so now put the positive back on. Now we'll do the negative. Close the hood, batteries are connected, tighten down. Let's give it a start and see if it self-clears itself. All right, let's see if it self-clears. All right, check engine light's off. So it obviously was a, what do you call it? It is a hard and a soft check engine light, I believe. A hard one stays on regardless until it's forced clear. So something like a sensor or something like this would be a soft, whatever you call it. So the battery disconnected, the ECU clears codes and checks everything out. Well, so far so good. I'll take it for a test spin and go from there. All right, success. Just went up and down the road a few times, all different speeds, and no lights on the dash, and everything is working perfectly. So, all set.